What's up, everybody? Justin Fensterman back with you with another fantasy football stock watch as we end week 11 and we start shifting that focus to week number 12. Playoff clinching season. Let's get after it. Let's get in it. You got to be in it to win it, and that is why you have your family with you. Happy Thanksgiving to all. Let's all feast in week 12 by going over some of the players who are trending up and down when it comes to fantasy football. First trending up, let's start with DeAndre Johnson. Earlier in the season, we were pulling our hair out because the injury bug for Johnson would not subside. He would get taken out of games for extended periods of time, and that would cost fantasy players production. Since his last outing against Baltimore, which he injured his hamstring in, by the way, early in the game, he's been fed double-digit targets in every game, and he eclipsed 100 receiving yards in his last two contests. Johnson has a short week as he'll play Thursday against the Ravens, and we'll have to see what the status of Juju Smith-Schuster is after he slipped on a flag of all things and came up limping. Even though the Steelers have a lot of weapons, Johnson has still been fed, bringing up his weekly floor big time, as long as he could stay on the field. Next up, we have Antonio Gibson. Well, we saw it. J.D. McKissic wasn't given half the game in targets, but Gibson held steady. He kept his rushing touchdown streak alive as it hit 4. Gibson will have a short week as well, but he's entering what should be a Thanksgiving feast because he feasted on the Cowboys last time out. He put up 128 yards on the ground and found the end zone. In that game, he received 20 carries. In his last two games, he's received 13 and 16 carries, so we can expect him to receive at least 15 carries in this game. If McKissic is being heavily covered, the Washington football team could look to surprise Dallas by using Gibson a bit more in the passing game. He was thrown to one time the last time these division rivals squared off. He could catch the ball. Look at what he did in college, but Washington continues to keep him grounded. Final player on the rise, Wayne Gallman. With Devonta Freeman still out of the mix, Gallman has been receiving double-digit carries, and while the most he's rushed for in a game this year is 68 yards, like Gibson, he is on a touchdown scoring streak of 4 straight. As much as I'm not in favor of chasing touchdowns without the yardage or even receptions behind them, Daniel Jones has been playing a lot better in the weeks leading up to the Giants' bye in Week 11, and he can drive the team down the field and let Gallman punch it in. Despite Jones running in his first touchdown of the season in Week 10, he's had issues with fumbling this year, and the Giants won't take as many chances inside the 5, and that is where Gallman will be featured. We've seen the double-digit carries in his last 4 games, and he should continue to get 10 to 15 carries per game. Now a few players trending down. Let's start with Drew Lock. Don't get deceived by Lock. Yes, he's had a few games enriched with fantasy production, but that is because the Broncos were in such a hole that Lock needed to throw a ton late in those games to try to bring the team back from the dead. Recently, Lock has been dealing with a strained abdomen, and for some reason, the Broncos continue trotting him out there. Since week 6, he's thrown interceptions in every game. We saw his pass attempts drop between weeks 10 and 11. He threw 30 times on Sunday, and until he is 100% and when the Broncos are in games, expect the run game to be utilized a lot more. They have Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay, and they would be stupid to scheme away from them, especially with a banged-up quarterback who probably shouldn't even be out there to begin with. Next up, Jarvis Landry. The matchup might be good going up against Jacksonville, but Landry can't be trusted. Baker Mayfield hasn't thrown a touchdown since week 7, and Landry has received 7 targets combined in his last 2 weeks. With Nick Chubb back and this team winning games, they are going to destroy the Jaguars on the ground. We saw James Conner have a better game against them, and the dynamic duo of Chubb and Kareem Hunt will eat the Jags alive. Landry will continue to be prioritized by defenses, and Mayfield is better off not throwing the football. There are certainly a lot of bad vibes surrounding Landry and his potential production. He certainly doesn't have a safe floor, even entering a good matchup. Final player, Jameson Crowder. The Jets are going nowhere. Sam Darnold is hurt, and despite having 2 of their more successful games offensively in recent weeks, Crowder has been barely involved. Without Darnold, Joe Flacco has been looking at other options over the last few weeks. Crowder has 5 total targets in his last 2 games, while Brashad Perriman has 11 targets combined and has gotten into the end zone 3 times during that span. The Jets couldn't put up a single point against Miami the last time they faced off, and their defense has confused even some of the more successful offenses in the air. Just ask the Chargers and wide receiver Keenan Allen why they ran the ball a ton against Miami in Week 10. Their defense has held them strong, and until we have more news on Darnold, Crowder needs to be on fantasy benches. Even if Darnold plays, this is not a great matchup to start him in. That is your weekly stock watch. Get in, get focused, Get with the family. This is what we do. FantasyAlarm.com/Black Friday. Our Black Friday special, $97. All of our products until 2022. A family that sticks together, wins together. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.